This week on the Redeemed Marriage podcast, we're going to be giving you some tips that you can practice over the next few days and weeks, and especially if you're heading into the holiday season and you're going to have some time at home with your spouse and with your family. And we're going to give you some tips on say these things often during your marriage. So stay tuned. Hey, I'm Rusty.
And I'm Heather.
And we're the Bryants, and this is the Redeemed Marriage Podcast.
We are here to encourage healthy marriages, strengthen wounded marriages, and begin the process of restoration to broken marriages.
We aren't licensed counselors, but we are a redeemed couple that loves the Lord and wants to help you journey through this messy, challenging, and fun part of life called marriage. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. This is Rusty and Heather Bryant. We're excited to be back with you, and we know that people listen to this at all different times during the year, but there are people that keep up with us as we go along and as we put out new episodes. And so for just a point of reference, we are getting really close to Christmas. So we wanted to just kind of let you guys know that for the next 2 weeks, we've got a little mini 2-week series that we're going to do. These could be a little bit shorter because we were talking about what we were going to do for the next couple of weeks leading up to Christmas. And we thought about the whole Christmas thing. But the main thing was Heather was like, it just needs to be not heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, we do a lot of heavy stuff on here because a lot of you desire to hear some of the tough stuff about marriage. We understand that. But it's the holidays. We want to do something a little bit lighter, but also something that would be helpful to you. And this one may actually be a little bit shorter than some of our other ones because we just want to throw something out there that could help you over the next couple of weeks as you're getting close to Christmas. You're probably spending time with family. You're going to be around your spouse maybe a little or a lot more than you normally are. And so this should help. Before we go there, we have done a contest and we're continuing the contest. This was incredible, by the way. So it was a last minute thing. We were like, hey, let's pull our survey back out so that we can get some information for people. We did this survey about a year or so ago, but it's a great way for us to, as we start looking into the new year and topics for our podcast and other resources that people are interested in. And so we threw that out a couple of days ago, and holy cow, we got a ton. And I don't know if it's because people wanted to win a prize, or if it's because people wanted to help us. We're gonna say people wanted to help us.
Probably both.
But regardless, I think at the last count there were 19 different states, and obviously several from some of the same states, but 19 different states had chimed in. And 3 different countries had chimed in. And we did our first drawing on Friday. We're going to do 2 more drawings the next 2 Fridays leading up to Christmas. And we did reach out by email, because it's the only way we know how to reach out, to the winner. And I haven't heard back from the winner yet. So if you're listening to this, I'm telling you, you might want to check spam. Because
man, that would sting.
Yeah, I know. And we actually sent, at the time of the drawing, we sent an email to everybody that had entered at the time and that had filled out the survey. So if you're listening to this and you didn't get an email from us, and I would say this was probably Friday around noon, you may just want to check because
you might have won the prize.
You could have won the prize. You probably did get an email from us, but your email, you've probably never gotten an email from theredeemedmarriage@gmail.com. So check it. Make sure, because we don't want to miss anybody.
And mark it as not trash.
Yes,
or
for
not
sure.
spam.
All right. So,
because we need our winner to come forward.
Yep. We need our winner to come forward, and we also need to make sure that we're able to communicate with all of our listeners and people that are out there listening to us.
What'd they win?
We did a T-shirt. We did the Redeemed T-shirt this week. And then next Friday we'll do a different prize, and then the following Friday we'll do another prize. So
nice.
So if you haven't done the survey, You can go to our website, theredeemedmarriage.com. At the bottom, there's a little place that you can click on survey and fill it out. You can also go to any of our social media, well, Facebook. Over the last several days, we've posted it several times, and we'll post it again before Friday. But love for you to join us in that. All right, let's get to it. So,
I'm really excited about this one because I think that it's going to be a sweet, sweet thing for people to be purposeful with their words. And I think that a lot of times this time of year, people get so crazy and so stressed and so just, chaotic that I think sometimes we don't think about the words that we say can really encourage someone, or they could really hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And with us being able to spend extra time with family, hopefully you get to spend some extra time with your family, extended family, your close family, and especially your spouse, that this will just help you be mindful of the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Yep.
Do you understand the word? What is that from?
It's
Not a
from
Christmas
Rush
movie.
Hour.
Oh, man.
Don't nobody understand the words coming out of your mouth. Oh, goodness.
That's not a Christmas movie.
Hey, can we just...
Any more than Die Hard is.
Look, hey, we practice what we preach. Can we just say that? We don't... It's hard. We understand it's hard. We planned a date night last night, and it was so much fun. It did get crashed by one of our kids and his girlfriend.
But it was still so
fun. But then we had time by ourselves. We went and did the Christmas lights and stuff, came back and watched one of those lovable Hallmark movies that we talked about.
Good.
It wasn't good.
It was a 2.
And it feels like it's one of those things where I should say to you, that was strike 1 or strike 2 or you better give me one that I'm going to like, but it just wasn't great.
Well, at least I didn't DNF it. Usually I DNF them if they're not that good.
Yeah.
I'm like, did not finish. We're done. But I just kept holding out.
It was
fine. That one was
and it didn't matter.
2
We were snuggled up on the couch and we were just enjoying it. Had the Christmas lights on. We posted something that yesterday where we gave recommendations on a great date night for Christmas, and that was what it was.
Just pick a better movie.
Well, and I gave a suggestion for a movie. We should have gone with that, but because I said Family Man.
Oh,
but that was
seen that.
Oh yeah, we've seen it a million times. All right, we're just
Sorry.
All right, let's go. So these are the things that we could have made a pretty long list, but you guys that know me and have been listening for a long time,
3-point sermon.
I love the 3-point sermons.
Every now and then
we'll throw a 4th or 5th in there, but we narrowed it down to 3. So we just and it's good because it's bite-sized chunks.
That's right.
Here's what you're going to work on, and we want you to work on this today. And so as you're thinking about the words that you say to your spouse, I'm going to go ahead and throw out the number 1. Use the words, I love you, over and over and over. I mean, who gets tired of hearing their spouse say, I love you? And the old funny joke,
Is it funny?
No, it's not really funny. It actually is kind of funny. But the old man that says, I told you I loved you when we got married, and if it changes, I'll let you know. But no. Let's not go there. Those are just words that, what greater words to hear from your spouse than I love you?
Yep.
And I think it's important that it's not just said at the same times and the same way each day, because I do think, let's say you're on the phone, and when you get off the phone, maybe you and your spouse have a habit of just saying, love you, and you get off the phone.
Which is completely fine.
Completely fine. That's
right.
Awesome.
Yep.
Or as you walk out the door and you're grabbing your backpack and you're running out the door to go to work, and you're like, okay, love you, see you later. Most people do carry bags.
Yeah, you're right.
You have a bag.
I do.
I carry a backpack to
Nobody
work
carries
every day.
cases anymore.
No. But I would challenge you and encourage you to say it at times when you think it and it's a little bit out of the ordinary. And I know some people maybe right before you even go to bed, you're just roll over, hey, love you, and that's.
But just get your spouse's attention and be like, hey, I love you.
Yeah.
at an unexpected time.
Yeah.
But I hear a lot of people say, oh, it doesn't, the only time he ever says is when we hang up the phone or but that's okay too. Like, I would feel so weird if I didn't say when we were hanging up the phone, okay, I love you, bye. Because that's just, I want that to be the last thing you hear me say as I hang up. But I also think it's exceedingly important to be purposeful with it as well.
Yeah. That's good. Okay.
I like it.
It's not much to add to
Yeah.
that.
That one, you just say it.
Yeah.
Just say it. And if it feels weird, you don't say it enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
You know, if you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, if it's awkward or uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so a second one. And I've actually thought of a fourth one as well.
There you go.
And it's an easy one too. But the second one would be I'm sorry, and this is kind of combined into one. I'm sorry, and I was wrong.
Mm-hmm. That's hard to say.
Those are hard.
It's hard to say. It really is. And when we went through our marriage crisis, I remember you telling me that you wouldn't get tired of me saying that. We're 11 years later of me wounding you in our marriage, and you don't get tired of hearing me say, I'm sorry for that. And I'm not saying that's the only thing I have to apologize for,
right.
But I'm just saying, so it can be a big thing that you have to say, I'm sorry that I hurt you in that way. I know that was a long time ago, but I also know that can still be very, very hard for you. So I just want you to know that I'm sorry and that I love you. But then also just in the everyday things, that miscommunications and maybe you spoke harshly and shouldn't have, whatever it is that you did wrong. It's wonderful to be able to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong and I hurt you and I shouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm. When we've talked about this privately and to the whole world on a podcast before, but I've said that our first 15 years of marriage, I didn't hear you say that you were sorry very often, or that you were wrong. And, looking back on that, I feel like I said it all the time. And part of it was because I wanted to get out of whatever was happening. Like, because I was like, she's not going to say she's wrong and she's not going to apologize. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And let's move on.
And in doing that, exactly. That's what I was going to say. In doing that, we just moved past it instead of really digging in and talking about things. Sure. Yeah.
But I would say that over the last 11 years, because, for us, we just have this big, huge life moment, the crisis where there was an affair. And so before that, it's like we have this pre-affair and then we have this post-affair. And, I feel like since then, we're pretty, it's very, again, we're not keeping score or anything, but it's very equal as far as when you mess up and when you do something wrong, you're fine with saying, I'm sorry and I was wrong and I shouldn't have done that. And that's even on top. That's the little things. That's on top of you coming back and revisiting sometimes and saying, I'm really sorry that I did that, 11 years ago. But I do, I feel like I don't have to apologize near as much as I did those first 15 years because we both accept responsibilities when we hurt the other one, and so we don't try to push it aside and just somebody's got to say I'm sorry and let's get over it.
Or blame it completely on the other person. And we've said this several times on here, but if you have not heard this statement that marriage is one sinner marrying another sinner and trying to make this thing called marriage work, you're both sinners. If you're in a relationship where you think that you're never wrong, you are. You're a sinner. Your spouse is a sinner. It's going to happen. They are going to hurt you. You are going to hurt them. As much as, I never wake up and think, oh, today I'm going to hurt my spouse. I don't want to do that, but it's going to happen. And so just acknowledging that you're not perfect and that you're going to mess up, and it's okay to be able to say that you're sorry, and you need to be able to do that. And we have kind of a funny that we kind of laugh about it, where it doesn't have to be so serious every time, like it just doesn't have to be this huge, oh, I'm sorry. Now, there are lots of things that are worthy of that, but there are times where we just have to laugh about it. And I'll say, like, you're the best, I'm the least, or you're the greatest, I'm the least, you're the best, I'm the worst. Yeah, you're there's like 4 of them.
I don't know.
Best and worst. Did I already say that?
Best
You're
and worst.
the best, worst. Anyway,
least.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
All those things. And we just kind of get tickled about it. But it's my way, or our way, of saying, I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I own that. I did that. I messed up. But it doesn't have to be so heavy every time.
Well, I mean, it happened this morning. And, and sometimes it's not a big deal, but it's okay. And like this morning, we were getting ready to go to church, and I was afraid that I was going to need a shirt ironed, and we needed to leave fairly quickly. And so I just kind of threw it out there. Man, I sure hope this shirt doesn't need to be ironed. And I think you panicked a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
so,
I
didn't want to be late.
And at that point, I had a solution because I had found a couple of other shirts that were going to work. And so it wasn't a huge deal, but I just remember saying I was like, my bad.
Yeah,
that's on me.
Yeah, on me. Mm-hmm.
And and we didn't make a big deal of it, and I fixed the situation myself.
Yeah.
So
and you admitting that, that's on me. It took off. I mean, like, it took off the need for me to point out that you were wrong.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, you owned it. You admitted it. You were like, I should have thought about this before right now. And then I have no reason to say, why did you do that? Because you've already said, you owned it up front.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of takes a little bit of the brunt of the wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's something that we don't do often enough is say, I was wrong. I own that. I'm sorry.
And a lot of times, and like we said, sometimes you say it just because you want to push it to the side. But a lot of times it's not something that's happened that's worthy of being, blowing out of proportion. But if you do just, immediately and go ahead, just like you said, and go ahead and own it, then it just kind of puts the fire out before the fire ever starts.
That's right. That's right.
And so, so that's a good one. Okay, now, last one. This one I'll combine with the 4th one that I thought of, so we can keep it at 3.
Are you going to share with the class? I don't even know what the 4th one is.
Yeah, I'm going to just combine it with this one, sort of. All right, so the 3rd one is, and this is such a great one, especially during the holidays, because if you are together a lot, and you already mentioned stressful, there's all kinds of stuff going on, family, all that stuff. So this one would be to just genuinely ask your spouse on a regular basis, what can I do to help you? And I don't think it's even like you notice that. Obviously, if you notice your spouse is stressed out about something, and you're like, what can I do to help? Because I can see that you're stressed. But it's more of just, hey, do you need help with anything today? Or what can I do to bless you? It's a it's a serving thing, and maybe, and that's just better too than having your spouse point things out all the time. Like, hey, do this, or why don't you do this? Like, I'm always the one doing this. But if you're just sort of open-handedly saying, hey, what can I do to help you? You're just not chiming in at all. You're just sitting.
No, because really, okay, so this is what I'm thinking. My favorite thing that you do is you see a need and you don't make a huge deal about it. You just try to help. But when you say the words, is there something that I can do to help you? Like, you just become so much more attractive. And so, like, I feel blessed to have you. And And I'm not saying that to blow you up. I am saying for people who are listening that if you want to impress your spouse, if you want to do something that's going to wow them, ask how you can come alongside them and serve them. And it sounds simple, but I don't think we do it enough.
Well, I think another part of that is that a lot of times when you don't ask if you can help, there's stuff building up inside of the other person that almost just wants you to offer. And then once you offer, a lot of times you're like, no, I really don't need any help. But then it's like they offered.
And you just needed to know you're a team.
Here's the perfect example of that leading into Christmas. I know that most families, there's cooking that goes on. And a lot of time, there's, we do a lot of cooking together, but there's a lot of days, that are during holidays where you're having to do 2 or 3 or 4 things. And that's not on me usually, but it's stressful sometimes for you. And you could be in the kitchen just like slaving away and I'm watching a ball game and like I can feel the tension where a lot of times I'll just say, hey, do you need any help with anything? And you may say, hey, can you come stir this for me? Or, yeah, that'd be great for you to come. But a lot of times you just say, no, it's good. I got it. Because you like doing that. But I think that it just sort of kind of puts the fire out before. Because I do think that sometimes that's just building up inside of you. Yeah. It's sort of the same way if, like, you're sitting on the couch or you're, and I've been working on laundry or something, and I bring it in, and I'm just sitting there doing the laundry, and you're just sitting there. And that doesn't happen very often. It really never happens.
But for you, if you, and I'm just sitting here.
Okay, it never happens. But if you just sat there and you didn't say, hey, you need some help. But there have been plenty of times where you said, do you need some help? And I'm like, no, I got it. But if you didn't ask, I would be like, you're really just going to sit there and not even ask. I'm sitting here folding these clothes right in front of you. Again, that doesn't happen.
Well, and it actually did happen. What's coming into my mind is last week when I wasn't feeling well. And I even laying on the sofa was like, oh my gosh, he's folding those clothes and I need to help him. And I said, can I help you? And you were like, no, that's dumb. You don't feel good. I got this.
Yeah.
And so there are times, but I know the point that you're trying to make. And I also will add to that sometimes it's just nice to have you sit there. Like if I'm trying to do 3 different things in the kitchen, getting things ready, and really there's nothing that you can do to help me. I just have to do it. For you just to come in and start talking to me is fun.
What you really want is the old Craig Groeschel example. When you say, can you stir the pot?
I'll stir your pot.
That's him saying that guys can make a sexual joke about absolutely anything. And it's true.
It's true. Can you turn the oven on? I'll turn your oven on. And I'm like, oh my gosh, go back and watch the ball game.
See, there's a great tip, guys. Just make everything about sex, and then she'll kick you out of the kitchen. Oh, man.
I love it.
Okay, so the 4th thing goes along with that, and it's just say thank you.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to say that you are really good at that. And, we share a lot of responsibilities in this house. And we've said before, both of us have a crazy season and a non-crazy season. And so we share a lot of responsibilities. But you always do a good job of pointing out and thanking me for doing things. A lot of times you'll walk in and you'll go, I don't say a lot of times, almost every time. If I make up the bed, you walk in, you go, oh, you made up the bed. And you'll.
I wonder if anybody else has the last one out rule. Like if you're the last one out of the bed, you got to make it up. Or
I don't know.
I would think 90% of the people don't make up beds.
Probably
because
not.
we don't
every day.
Definitely.
No.
I that came across really wrong. We do not have our life together that much.
Oh, heck no.
Most of the time we straighten it up just so we can get in it at night.
And so the dog doesn't dig all around on it.
But when you do make up the bed, I just wonder if it's the last one out rule,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
because Rusty doesn't like to make up the bed because he has to spend so much time putting pillows on.
There's pillows all over our room, on every chair, on chest of drawers. It's crazy.
But
They
when
just
you
stack
do,
up.
I do say thank you.
Yeah, you do.
because
You do.
I see it.
Yeah, a lot of time. I mean, you'll walk in if you haven't been here, and you're like, "Oh, the house looks so good. Thank you."
Okay, I have a question. When you
Are you about to ask me a question? Or are you asking our listeners?
no, you
Okay, come on.
okay, here we go. When I say thank you for something, does it make you want to do it again?
Yeah,
That I've
sure.
seen it.
Sure, because if you don't say thank you,
Mm-hmm.
then I think you haven't even acknowledged it
Or
noticed it,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, why would I waste my time
Sure.
doing that? You
Yeah.
know?
No,
I
I
mean,
see that.
I mean, if I pick up, I can't stand sweeping, but if I were to pick up the broom
Mhm.
and sweep, and
Mhm.
you don't say anything, then I'm
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
last time I do that,
Yeah,
you know?
Because, like, I just think about, and I'm sorry, you brought up sex with the whole stir your pot thing. But, like, even after we've been intimate together and you say, thank you so much for that time and for doing, I'm like, I'm going to do that again because that made him happy. And so I just think that thank you has more to it than just saying thank you. Like you're acknowledging that someone has given their time, their effort, their whatever to help you with something, or help you with something. I'm trying to think of the word. To help you with something, or to do something, or with something that's important to you.
Yeah.
And you're acknowledging that. And in that, I just think that the return is so much greater.
Yep. Oh, that's good. All right. So say I love you a lot. Say I'm sorry and I was wrong. And say, how can I help you? And along with that, when you've been helped, say thank you. So that's it.
Yep.
Those
Are you going to tell them what we're going to do next week?
Yeah, we're gonna go.
Okay,
we're
I'm
gonna
so
tell
excited.
you. Well, right now it's 3 things because we've talked about it.
Next week it'll be 8.
It could be 8 because we may think about it a lot during the week. But we're gonna give you the things that you don't need to say in marriage. So today, those are the things that you need to say in marriage often. Next week, we'll tell you the things that you don't need to be saying.
What not to say.
What not to say. All right. So, hey, thanks for listening. We enjoyed our time with you, and we'll see you next week.